A walk in the woods along a nice path in the sunshine. Just another person who's walked along this path. People have come and gone in the New Forest, made their prehistoric homes here, pulled horse-drawn caravans along bumpy tracks and made makeshift huts from wooden poles and sackcloth. We wouldn't know. Autumn leaves have fallen over the footprints as nature continues its cycles. And now they're out walking their dogs, going for a picnic. Millennia of selected history is stitched into an embroidery at the New Forest Heritage Centre. But stop at the corner of the upstairs gallery and there's one arresting piece of evidence of a New Forest inhabitant. A glass case full of unusual wood carvings. Not a repeat pattern of wood-carved objects, but a unique, deeper, individual story that makes me want to find out more than just the name. A label. Tom Charman, New Forest woodcarver. But who was Tom Charman? What is his story? These intriguing, sometimes unfathomable creatures tell you something of the person behind them. Unique, surreal, shaped and polished by the hand. Strange faces and creatures conjuring up enchanted characters from Shakespeare, portraits of Native American characteristic. Birds, fish, rabbits, whales, elves and fairies. I suppose what appeals to me here is the fact that growing up on a farm and being surrounded by woodland, taking a piece of wood and a pocket knife was my instinctive reaction, wanting to whittle it into a shape, make objects, creatures and characters. You can find a piece of wood that almost fits what you want to make. Is that the legs of a horse? Is that the neck of a giraffe? Tom Charman was born in 1863, apparently a one-time sewing machine salesman, but I can well imagine that his heart wasn't really in that job. An on and off illustrator, a music hall entertainer, a ventriloquist and a woodcarver. The carvings here are only a handful of hundreds he made over his lifetime. Where the other ones are, who knows? Inspired by the magic of the New Forest, Tom looked for fairies, gnomes, elves and other supernatural characters, and he found them here in the dancing light of shadows on the forest floor, within the gnarled branches and twisted roots of the trees. These unique and unpredictable designs informed by factors of nature of wind, rain, light and shade. The thoughts of a person wandering free in a forest and bringing an enchanted world to life. It was here too he found his wife, Margaret, although indirectly, as she was the daughter of a man he met walking in the forest, anthropologist Ernest Westlake. Ernest was initially not too impressed with their union. Well, we assume it must have been the age difference that was an issue, but then again, perhaps he didn't like the idea of a wood-carving, fairy-seeing ventriloquist as a son-in-law. I don't know. It was a long time ago. Anyway, the two eloped, living out in the New Forest for 2 months, living, on all accounts, from a bag of lentils and smoked herrings. Yeah, I can imagine that might get a little bit repetitive. Despite Ernest's persistence in breaking up their pairing, eventually he came round to the idea and gifted them a wooden chalet in which Tom and Margaret set up home. Looking for a creative activity less physically demanding than woodcarving, in 1920 Tom and Margaret set up the God's Hill Pottery, and there the pottery continued, eventually being handed down to their son Christopher and his wife Kate, who continued the tradition of pottery to be used for another 50 years or so. The building is still there, but there's no more pots and no more carvings. The wood carvings preserved behind glass, the pots hopefully still being used in homes near and far, showing off flowers, cradling eggs, pouring milk or gravy. Now we can only imagine those imaginative paths Tom made through the forest. I can see him now, sitting under a tree, a bit like me, whittling knife in hand. Those strange creatures suggesting their own unique shapes as they emerge in the warm evening light that catches on all the wood shavings as they fall.